Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It is the Thursday, March 31st edition of the show. I'm Gary.
I'm Chris.
And we have got some things to discuss today, my friends. Chris, we were in Tornado Alley on Wednesday night, man. And so you tweeted back to me because I was kind of bragging on my wife because she created this thing that goes in our pantry, and you just roll it out. Because that is the centralmost room in our house. It's under the stairs. It's just enough room for, our little family and maybe like two other people to fit in, right? It's tiny, but there's room. So, when we're having rotation go basically over our house and they're telling us, hey, if you're in this area, which was like right there, State Line, Riverdale, State Line, whatever, they told us, hey, you need to get in your safe space, da-da-da-da. So we pull out this little thing and it just rolls right out. And we just pop in, no problem, whatever. And you responded and was like, they have called wolf, or they've cried wolf too many times. Tell me what was your reaction with all the tornado sirens going off and whatnot the other night?
Oh, man, it's the same as it's been. Listen, I'm almost 40 years old, okay? I've been lived in this area my entire life, in the Memphis tri-state area somewhere. I've heard those sirens go off at least 30-something times in my life. And it's never, when I say never been anything, I'm talking 2 years ago, the tornado actually hit Olive Branch, and it hit like a farmed area of Olive Branch. It has like a couple of houses got destroyed, but it's like acres and acres of farmland, and a couple of barns got blown over because all the houses that got hit all live on like 12 acres of land. Okay. Yeah. So like the one time a tornado actually hit down in my lifetime, it hit where nobody is. All right.
Yeah, that's you talking about the one in Lewisburg?
Yes, the one in Lewisburg.
Yeah.
Yep, that is Olive Branch to the world because we pay for everything for there. They just call themselves something different. Like it's just one of those things where one day, look, I might orphan my children and widow my wife, but I'm not freaking out. I'm done. I'm an old man, and my ass is going to die in my chair in front of my TV. And if the TV ever goes out, then I'm picking up the phone because we live in 2022, and that's just how I'm going to go. Okay, I'm not hunkering down in some. Look, I'm the fattest son of a bitch I know. All right, I'm not getting in some big ass closet. All right, I'm just not doing it. Okay.
I will say this. So the area that we live. Because we've got the river and because we've got the bluff, that significantly changes the weather. So it makes it really difficult for these storms to build up steam and actually produce tornadoes where we are, right? We've never really had to worry with them. If you live in like downtown Memphis, something like that, you will likely never have to worry about that. I remember going to Beale Street Music Festival one year. Alice in Chains was supposed to play, and there were tornado warnings out the yin-yang, and they canceled Alice in Chains because they had to evacuate the park based on tornado warnings. But that thing hit the river and completely dissipated back then, and that's basically what this one did. This one didn't necessarily dissipate. It was still a severe thunderstorm, but it changed because it was moving at like 55, 60 miles an hour. It hit that river and then hit the bluff, and it slowed down to like 30 miles an hour, and it eventually picked back up once it got into the middle of Tennessee, in the middle of Alabama and whatnot, but we didn't really have to mess with it. I mean, we were lucky. So, and we've always been lucky. So,
if you live in Arkansas, you should probably be very careful because they always come from the west.
Yeah.
Around here, and Arkansas gets destroyed, and you're right. Then it hits the river. Well, guess what? The damn river separates us from everyone else. Okay.
Yeah. And
it's just never been a thing. And I remember when I was little. My mom used to freak out about it, and now, like, my wife's never been involved in this stuff, so now she kind of freaks out about it, and she rubs that stuff off on the kids, and the kids see her get scared, and they go into they're all three like just total hormonal, just like feeding off one another, just fear, and I'm just telling all of them, just calm the hell down, okay? Just calm down. Worst case scenario. It blows the house over and we all die. All right? you know what? All our problems are gone.
Yeah.
If that happens, then we don't have anything to worry about.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. No, I got it from my dad. I pay attention to the weather, and because I've got family that lives in Alabama and family that lives down in Tupelo, Mississippi, so I'm more watching for them. We got in our closet like we were supposed to, but there was never panic. It was never like, we didn't have to go crazy or anything like that. It was just, all right, well, it's getting kind of bad, and they're saying that there's one that's like directly headed for us. We'll hop in the closet. Like, we'll just, in that way.
They were saying there was one directly headed for us, and where was it? It was just magic. It just disappeared.
Basically.
Like, I don't understand the weather. I'm not going to pretend like I know what in the hell it is that means or how any of it works, okay? I'm not. And listen, I'm not too cool for school. Like I'm not like the guy that's too cool for safety or anything like that. That's not this. It's not. I'm not brave. I'm not ballsy. I'm not any of those things. None of those things would be good to compare me to. I'm just somebody who's lived here my entire life and been told this is a thing that happens here. But every time they've told me that, it didn't happen. And this isn't like, 5 years from now, like whatever. This is 40 years.
It's a pretty long sample size, I would say. I would definitely say
that. Tornadoes destroy areas when they hit, but they destroy like a section of town, right? Well, yeah. So now I gotta hope that they're right this time, and it hits here, and then it's got to hit my street. Okay, it's a pretty big world out there. I like my chances. I'm not afraid of getting struck by lightning. I'm not going to walk outside with a metal golf club.
Well, no, of course not.
But I'm also not going to run for cover either. I'm just going to go about my life. I'm not going to be reckless. But you will not find the house falling around me inside a bunker. It's just not happening.
Yeah, that's it. I will tell you this: there's not a lot of storm cellars. There's not a lot of basements where we are. So, but we've never had to worry with it. I think the natural.
I've got several family members. Their houses have like a storm safe room. Okay, and that was like the first thing. She was like, "Do you think we need to drive over to?" What are you talking about? I'm not leaving. So this is. I don't know if this is a man thing or if this is a. I don't know what this is. There is a thing where during storms I want to be home.
Oh yeah,
and it's not a safety thing. This is my house. Like I grew up and we bounced around from place to place and we didn't have a place to call home for a long time. And then when we did, that was my home.
Oh, hey, I left work early to make sure I was home.
Nothing was going to take my home, and if it did, it was taking me with it. And I don't know where I get that from, or if that's just like a born in us. Just one of those masculine things that it's just part of being a guy. And maybe it's not a man thing at all. Maybe women have this too. Everybody has this. I just don't know.
No, it certainly.
I can't pretend to relate.
It seems more like a man thing. It because I've got the same thing. Like I left work early so that I would be home. If anything happened.
And it's not because it's safer at home than it is in the streets. Like it wasn't. I just want to. If I was at my mom's house. And she has a safe room, I would leave there and come to my house.
Yeah.
If all of my kids and wife were at my mom's house, I would leave them all and come to our house. See,
no, makes sense.
They're safe. They're fine. I'm going to make sure the house is okay.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I did the same thing. I would continue to do the same thing. Like it's. I did.
But no, it was
I did think it was crazy.
Uneventful. It was, it was a lot of sirens. This is where the boy cry wolf problem happens for me. Okay, hang on, my alarm's going off to tell me to go pay the tax man. Oh God, fucking government. Anyway, this is where they cried wolf too many times. I think the people who trigger the alarms like triggering the alarms, Like, I don't think anybody saw a tornado touchdown, but, man, they're real quick with that finger. And I guess in the grand scheme of it, you'd rather err on the side of caution. But by erring on the side of caution, they throw people into panic, man.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, big time.
And I can't speak for the general public. I don't know. I know inside my four walls, boy, it was pandemonium. And I just thought, what are we doing?
We turned on people. We turned on the tablet for Lincoln, and he watched Bob the Builder. He did not give a rip what was happening outside of Bob the Builder. So we were good.
I'm watching through Scrubs, and Scrubs never got turned off. And I got yelled at and said, turn the news on. And I was like, you turn the news on. I'm watching Scrubs. Okay. Turk and JD doing some crazy shit, and I want to be involved in that. All right, that's more fun than this. You go do what you need to do.
Oh my God! Let's go ahead. Go ahead.
I know that I come across like an asshole. There's no doubt that my family has no appreciation for my sense of humor and all of this. My lack of fear and panic in any of it at all. I know it falls on complete and utter deaf ears. Like I get that and I know it. I've lived here my whole life. You know, the kids have only lived here for as long as they've lived, which is not very long at all. And my wife's the same thing. Like, okay,
yeah,
right? Like I've been down this road. I've been lied to too many times.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense.
I'm just no longer afraid.
The odds of us actually getting hit by one in this area, very minor compared to other areas in this state and around us.
My other thing is this. The difference between my closet and my living room can't be that much, okay? And I feel like if the house gets completely destroyed, I'm going to die either way, okay?
Yeah.
I just don't want to suffer. Like, I don't want to be crushed and suffocated, and, like, in 3 days, I give up the ghost, but we're waiting for somebody to come find us. Like, I don't want that. Like, if I'm in the living room and, a telephone pole just flies through my window and just takes me out, great. Let's just take her down. It's okay. I'm all right with that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Let's actually talk some sports. What do you say?
All right, let's
go. And obviously, we've got a few topics to hit on. None of them, I believe, will be super long, but I think this will be the longest topic that we hit on. Bruce Arians decided to step down as the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He is going to move into a front office role, and Todd Bowles takes over as the new head coach. Now, the first part of this is there's not a lot of NFL franchises that would not go through a hiring process, right? Like normally you have the head coach steps down, they go through and figure out exactly what they want in a candidate, and then so it appears that this was somewhat premeditated, right? This looks like it had been in the works for quite some time. I've got a lot of questions. And I'm hoping that maybe you've got some opinions on it. First, all right, so there were several different social media posts talking about, hey, there was talk about maybe Arians and Tom Brady not getting along a lot last year. Do we think that had anything to do with this? So let's go with that one first. You feel like there was anything going on with Brady and Arians?
No, I joked around yesterday in our group chat, being like, hey, you talk a little shit about the king, and the king takes you out. Because Bruce, what I love so much about him is he does not hold back anything. I think the things that he spoke about, them not waiting for Tom and them not, if he's not here, we're going to move on without him. Like that's what are you supposed to say? Like, how are you supposed to run an organization? And all this stuff. So I don't think him and Tom had any negative relationship at all. I think when they got into it, it was two guys being competitive, and both of them felt like they had the best way to win a ball game. And they both seen a lot and had been in the league for a long time, and things like that get heated. And I get that. That's all about going in the same direction to make us win, to make us better. And at the end of the day, I think they both have the same philosophy, which is, I don't care who's right. I just want to win.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
So I don't think that had anything to do with it at all. I'll tell you where this comes from. Bruce Arians is one of the only coaches I have ever seen in the history of the game that is able to find success at the level he is and not be completely engulfed in football. You read about these coaches that go in at 4 a.m. and they don't leave the facility until midnight. or they just sleep there during certain times, and all of this stuff. And that's not just a few guys. That's more than not. Okay, out of the 32, far more of them are that way than Bruce Arians' way. And Bruce Arians, I mean, he used to have a rule. He used to say all the time that if he caught you in the building after 8 o'clock, and your kid had like a sporting event, like a ball game or something, that he would throw you out of the building and he would threaten to fire you because family is more important than that. Bruce is a guy that just has never been, I'm going to work 100 hours a week, and that's going to be our trick to beat people. That's never been his trick thing.
Was relax, right?
Yeah.
Like a mental capacity.
It really
like,
was.
There's only so much that you can fit into your brain. There's only so many workouts that you can get in. Like it, and I like what he was doing with it. Tell me this: is Tom Brady?
I'll tell you this.
Go ahead.
Hang on. You can say you liked what he was doing with it, but if he was 4-10 or whatever, however many games they play, like you don't get to do that. Okay.
Oh, agreed. You got to be smart, and you got to be able to win. Your method has to work in order for people to be okay with it, right? And there's not. I mean, it's very difficult to be successful in this league, but he is an incredibly smart coach and a good leader. So let's move on to this question: will Tom Brady play for Todd Bowles? Like, do you think Brady was coming back to play for Bruce, or
no? Brady's coming back to play for himself.
That's what I think.
And that team. I mean, I know it sounds selfish. Brady knows that team. Brady knows the offense. The offense is now firmly in the hands of Byron. I think him and Byron had a great relationship. And also, I think Brady kind of gets to audible and call whatever he wants.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the same with Bruce there. That won't change. I don't think Brady will have more leniency now than he did before. He's seen more defenses than Byron and Bruce, so he knows what he's doing.
No, you're 100% right. 100%.
And so I don't think that has any deciding ability. I do, and I said this way after the second he retired. I said I don't believe it because I thought he was going to come back and try to play. I think he wanted to play for San Francisco. I think he wanted to end his career where he fell in love with the game. He doesn't have that luxury. He's the kind of guy who's all in or all out. He's all in. He's not leaving Tampa. People are talking about trade rumor. He's trying to get traded to the Dolphins because they've loaded up. That's all horseshit. That has never been Tom Brady's MO. Does he want the most talent he can? Yes. Does he want to win? Absolutely. But the minute he made his decision, he's coming back, and Tampa Bay wasn't trading him, he is all in with those guys. And that mentality, when it clicks, it never turns off until the season's over with.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Now, I've got two questions that kind of tie in together. We'll move back to Bruce as opposed to talking about Tom Brady. But let's start off with this one. Did Bruce step down so that a black head coach could take over a strong team? You and I have talked ad nauseum about the fact that the black coaches in the NFL do not get the best opportunities and thus are tossed out after a year or two when they can't get it turned around, when they don't get enough support. In this situation, you've got a team that was a Super Bowl contender that, you're going to have to replace a couple of pieces. But for the most part, like, this thing is set up. Like, I think this is as good of an opportunity that Todd Bowles would have ever gotten.
So I don't think the black-white thing comes into play for Bruce at all. I do think he's going to stay on as a front office guy. He's going to continue to work with the team and be a part of this organization. And I think if they had any level of success at all this year, let's say they make the playoffs, and let's say they make it to the NFC title game, and that's as far as they make it, I don't think there's any chance on earth next year that Todd Bowles and Byron are still there. And so if you're an organization, and Bruce is part of the organization, and you're thinking about retiring soon, and you're thinking you might not be all in on this season, if you don't give one of them the job today, there's a really good chance tomorrow you don't get the chance to. There's a really good job opportunity that somebody's going to pluck them away. They are two of the minority coaches in the league, and they're both really good and on that trajectory to get a head coaching job. So you can either let somebody hire your guy or you can hire your guy. And I think Bruce is smart enough to realize this. I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that we have two hot minority candidates, and this is a good job for them. I think it's the best thing for Tampa Bay for one of these two gentlemen to have the job, and they went with the one with the most head coaching experience. I am curious to see who they bring in as a DC this late in the game. Are they just going to try to promote somebody up? You know, Bill Belichick has tried doing that for years. Okay, like you can't name since Matt Patricia left. You can't name the DC. Like everyone assumed Brian Flores was the DC, and he was, but he was never given that title. Like that doesn't. I don't think that stuff works. I think you need to bring somebody in now that you're the head coach to run the defense, and you can oversee that, and you can have a lot more hands in on that. But football is too important for one person to run a whole side of the ball and try to compete for championships. I think you need to make sure somebody is responsible for that gig. And I have no idea if they've got somebody in-house that they're just going to promote up. Will that work out the best for them? I don't know.
I do think hiring in somebody from outside allows Todd to place his own stamp on this thing, as opposed to him just running Bruce's team.
But if they promote from within, I'm going to assure you this: Todd Bowles hired 100% of the defensive staff. Bruce Arians didn't hire.
Yeah,
Bruce Arians probably interviewed them, and he had a say in it. But Todd Bowles hired his linebackers coach. Todd Bowles hired his DBs coach. Like Todd Bowles hired his defensive staff.
Well, this is like Brent Venables at Clemson. Like he was the head coach of the defense.
Right. Like he was the head coach of the defense, and every coach that coached on the defensive side of the ball, he hired. Dabo had to give a blessing to, but that was a look across the aisle and say, "This is the guy I want." Dabo said it's blessed, and we move on.
Yeah. I don't think you're wrong. The last part of this, and again, this question kind of ties into that. Do we think that he would have decided to retire or move to the front office if Tom Brady had not unretired?
Yeah, I still think he would have done it because I don't think this is a Tom Brady's here. I don't think this is a we can win now. I don't think any of that has anything to do with it for Bruce. I think Bruce really enjoys the life that he has. I think this is 100%. I am spending time with my family. I am doing a lot of fun stuff. And right now we're getting into the time where I got to go back to work. And these workups all the way up until we start football are brutal, and they're long days. And I think Bruce has said, I'd really like to just keep doing what I'm doing. Being out on this lake right now with my family is a lot of fun. And I think sense. I'm good with that.
Now you can enjoy yourself quite a bit in Tampa, for sure.
Well, he got his ring, which is the most important thing.
Yes.
You know, he was one of those coaches that I think had such an unbelievable career without a title. And he was able to get his ring, and so, you know, stepping down is a lot easier now.
Yeah, what's he got to prove? It's kind of like Andy Reid. I'm kind of surprised that Andy Reid has not stepped aside yet, but, you know, alas, it is what it is. And
I mean, some of these guys love doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
And Andy Reid, as you know, he's a big old boy, but Andy Reid doesn't have near the health problems that Bruce Arians has.
Oh, you're
Bruce Arians has battled cancer. Bruce Arians has battled all kinds of stuff. Like, this ain't his first rodeo with retiring. And once you retire, I think it gets easier and easier to kind of say, I'm just going to walk away.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. He's already been down that road once. People have been talking about Bill Cowher coming back to the NFL forever, and he never did it.
They're insane. And he never did. He never did. Why? Because it's really hard to get motivated. I think, so I'm not a super competitive person. I have to assume, so I'm making an assumption about a type of people that I don't know a whole lot about. Not that I don't know. I can't relate to. Let's say that.
Right.
I think to be that competitive at that kind of level for so long, and then the ease that you get of stopping that, the relaxation on your brain and your body that you get from being out of that for a while, I don't know how you get back off the couch and just turn that back on.
just turn that animal instinct back on. Now, some guys never lose. I mean, there are historical conversations between John Smoltz and Greg Maddux, how those two guys are, 60 years old, can't go fishing together because it turns into a fist fight. That's just might be in their genes. And they never, and maybe everybody who's ultra competitive never really loses that. I don't know. I can't relate to it, so I don't understand it. But Bill Cowher seems like he was so relaxed in that booth on TV working a couple of days a week, and that's it. And just to say, all right, now I got to instantly not just ignite a fire, but the fire you got to have to be a head coach in the NFL has to be flaming hot.
Oh yeah,
and you got to go from couch to that heat. I don't know how you do that.
I don't either. I really don't. It's it's difficult. It's difficult to do it, and I don't imagine that we will see Bruce back on a sideline again ever. Like I think this is it. This is the final
agree.
part.
I think this is it.
All right, let's go ahead and do the reads right quick. Go on and tell everybody where they can find us. WinningCuresEverything.com is the website. Go ahead and check that bad boy out if you would so kindly. You can find everything that you need to know about us over there. If you're not already subscribed to the podcast, please do. Leave us a 5-star review, written review. That helps us out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. Go ahead and knock that out. Same thing on the YouTube page. No, YouTube does not have a review function, but they do have comments, and you can jump into the chat. If you're watching the show live right now, go ahead and do us a favor and hit that like button, and make sure that you jump in the chat and let everybody know about the show, of course. Share the show out. Tell your friends about it, all that good stuff. You can find us on Twitter. I'm at Gary WCE. Chris is at Chris B. Giannini. And, of course, the show is at Winning Cures on Twitter. You can also see my smiling mug on BetUS TV. A lot of different how-to gamble videos, whatever, on sports gambling. Go ahead and check that out, betustv.com. Now let's dive into an interesting topic. Now, before we get to the Final Four picks, because obviously we got to give out Final Four picks, even if we're not super interested in this Final Four, did you see this about Eric Church canceling his show on Saturday night?
Yeah, we got into this on Twitter a little bit.
All right, so for those that have not paid attention, Eric Church, country superstar, etc., he decided that he could not miss this Final Four matchup between North Carolina and Duke on Saturday night in New Orleans. So he canceled a sold-out show in San Antonio. Big arena, holds like 20,000 people, something like that. And he just decided, you know what, I'm going to cancel the show or reschedule it or whatever. And I'll come back and do this later because I have to see this game. Now, he is a huge North Carolina Tar Heels fan. I mean, he's got an album called Carolina. Like, it all makes sense. But I could not imagine canceling something that has been booked for a long, long time that you are going to make oodles of cash on to go and watch a basketball game.
Well, not just make oodles of cash. I assure you that venue in San Antonio ain't letting him out of his contract. Whatever it cost him to rent that place out, he's still paying that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's going to cost him a ton of money.
This is not just money he's not making. This is 7 figures at least he's paying out to break this.
Oh, I don't know that it's 7 figures for rent, but it's
definitely F&E money.
It is definitely that. And yes, he ain't going to be hurting because he's a superstar. He's made a ton of money, right? He's got a huge fan base.
It's F&E money.
But it is remarkable. I remember being on tour and you know, I'd watch Grizzlies games or Alabama football games or whatever, and I would have a laptop on the stage. And you know who taught me that? Zach Myers, because he used to have the Grizzlies games on his laptop or on a monitor on the side of the stage so that whenever he would finish a song, he would walk over to change guitars or whatever, and he would check in on the score to see what's going on. Like, I would have it at the front of the stage next to a set list so that I could keep up with it while the show was going on. He kind of did the same thing. Like, there are ways to go about this. Now, at the same time, I don't know that Alabama and Auburn ever had a national title game that, or anything similar to what North Carolina and Duke are about to do, right? It's possibly Coach K's last game. It's the Final Four. It's, all these different things playing into it. But Zach from Shinedown, like I said, he did comment back on that tweet, and he said, let the Grizzlies get to the finals. He said, let the Grizzlies get to the finals, and then we'll see about Shinedown canceling shows. So I immediately hit him up and was like, hey, you're playing a bunch of UK festivals during the dates that the NBA Finals is going on. He immediately responded with like F me, man. So I don't know how he's going to get out of that. But yeah, this is something. The other part of this, I'm sure a lot of SEC football fans around here will at least be able to relate to it. Eric Church never went to North Carolina. He's an alum of App State. So, so the fact that he is a huge North Carolina fan while never attending the school makes a lot of sense for people in the area where we're from. So I know that you feel that being an LSU fan and having gone to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah. I mean, you're the same way. I mean, there's a large down here in the South. There's a large part of the population that never went to college. Period.
Yeah,
but we love college football. We fall in love with the sport so far before you ever consider going to a college. Like when you fall in love with something at the age of 4 or 5, which you were when you were taught to love Alabama. Like, you're not thinking about college. You're not thinking about what you want to study and what you want to go into. Like, you're not worried about that. You just want Alabama to be good at football.
Exactly.
Like, why is that? So the fact that these teams that we love are connected to universities that people actually get higher education from is kind of irrelevant.
Oh, 100%.
And I mean, I'm really, and we've talked about this before. Like, I'm really good at compartmentalizing things, right? Like, there are actors that I find super blowhardy, right? But I love their stuff, and I have friends who are like, "Oh, I can't believe you like that guy. Like, that guy gets on my nerves." Like, yeah, I don't give a shit though. Like, I like his movie. Like, I don't want to sit down and have a beer with him. I'm sure he's a prick, but I don't care.
But he's a good actor.
It's a good movie.
Yeah.
Whatever. Or it's a good musician or whatever their art is. Like, I don't have to agree with everything they do. It's the same thing about being a fan. And we talk about the struggles of being a fan all the time. There's so little of things that you can control that happen on these campuses and in these schools, right?
Oh, 100%.
And we live and die with them. We love everything about them. But you can only control so many things. So the fact that he didn't go to North Carolina, I'm not going to bluff him for that. I don't like his music, and I don't respect him very much as an artist because I don't think it's very good. But that's my opinion, all right? That's okay.
Do you respect him for just being honest and not making up some hey, we got a family emergency, I got to cancel whatever? Like, do you at least respect him for just saying, hey, I got to see this game?
I respect him for not being a goddamn liar. Yeah, okay, all right. But this goes back to an old Chris Rock bit. You don't get credit for shit you're supposed to do, okay?
Exactly.
If you're going to back out of something, nut up and be a man and tell people you backing out. Don't be a fucking liar. What are we talking about, Gary? Because a lot of other people would have weaseled their way out. He's respected because he didn't weasel his way out.
I will tell you, I appreciated it quite a bit. Quite a bit.
I don't know. I wouldn't use the word appreciate it. Because here's the thing. We all those people that do when they lie, we all know they're lying. And
but yeah.
So we just we lose respect for them, but I don't gain respect for somebody not lying.
Yeah, okay. I could understand that. I
don't know. Maybe I'm, but like I said, I get that I'm a bit of an asshole, and I understand that I don't see the world the way most people do, and I'm okay with that. I just the fact that he's not a piece of shit liar, all right. Do we just give him a free pass then? Because that means everybody who's a prick, they just get to be a prick as long as they're honest about it.
I suppose that is, I
think
guess you're right.
It's a shitty thing that he did. I think it's a very selfish thing that he did. I understand why he did it, but I think it's a shitty, prickish thing he did. And it's going to cost him. I think it's going to cost him into the 7 figures, and he's going to pay that.
And he's going to lose some fans. Yeah.
And if he's got some fans that get all upset, listen, reevaluate your life. Okay, there's a lot of good music out there. You don't have to listen to pop country. All right, They're not going to – listen, go to the 90s. Those guys were country, okay?
Yes.
Those guys were country. That's what country was. You like 90s country, you can grow a little bit, all right? So let's open our ears up and let's open our hearts and minds up and let's go listen to find some good music out there.
There you go. Simple enough. Simple enough.
You don't have to be an Eric Church fan.
Let's make some Final Four picks right quick, and then we'll do like rapid fire on the rest of the topics. Final Four picks. We'll start off with Villanova and Kansas. Of course, Villanova dealing with the loss of Justin Moore, the second leading scorer on the team. And if you go over to evanmaya.com, he is an integral part of like their top 4 lineups. I mean, he plays the second most minutes on the team behind Colin Gillespie. They only played, I think, 7 players in the Elite 8 game. And I don't know what they're going to – I mean, they got a short rotation anyway. I like to believe that Jay Wright is a good enough coach to be able to figure this out. I mean, they got 5 stars sitting on their bench, but trying to bring them in a Final Four game, kind of difficult to do. Kansas is a completely different team since they got into the tournament. I mean, they are just ridiculous. Remy Martin did nothing all season, and now he's playing basically like an all-star. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like adding him, because their point guard play was suspect. And now you got, all-star level play from Remy Martin, and Kansas is a pretty damn good basketball team. I mean, they were already pretty good. Like this is a national championship quality team. They're favored by 4.5 over Villanova right now. The total is 133. Do you have a play on this one?
I really want to take Nova and just hope for the best, but I think Kansas is going to win. I think Kansas will cover.
That's kind of the way that I'm leaning. The year-long numbers would have Villanova favored by about 0.5 point if you go by the year-long, but that includes having Justin Moore. If you go based on like the last 6 weeks, that would have Villanova favored by about 1 point. But again, that's with Justin Moore. I don't know how you overcome that loss. If they do, I'm going to enjoy it. But,
yeah,
I don't see how they do that. I think Kansas is, playing their best basketball of the season right now. So I'll go with you. I will take Kansas. I'm going to go under the 133 because I think the Kansas defense has been pretty good, and I don't know how you replace that scoring that Moore brought.
Well, Nova's scoring is definitely going to go down. I wonder – this is the reason I like Kansas. There's a world where Kansas score a lot, which is why I think they're going to win, they're going to cover.
I mean, these are like Kansas, Villanova, really, really slow pace, and teams that play slower, they have a better chance of slowing down the other team as opposed to the other team trying to speed them up, right? You got a veteran point guard in Colin Gillespie with Villanova. Like I would wager that this thing goes under the 133. Just because I don't expect Villanova to be able to score enough points to get it past that. Remember that Villanova scored 50 points, and that was with Justin Moore in for all of the game until the last minute against Houston. Kansas is not Houston, don't get me wrong, but also like they'll slow it down. Like they'll slow it down with you, and I think they've got better players and whatnot. I think they win. I think they cover, and I think this thing goes under 133. So. That'll move us over to North Carolina and Duke. Duke is a 4-point favorite. Total is 151. Now, we just saw these guys play about a month ago or so at the last Coach K game in Cameron Indoor, and North Carolina kind of whipped them. What was it, like 94-83, something like that? I mean, it was...
Well, and that was with Duke having a 15-point lead at halftime.
Yeah.
So think about the outscoring in the second half.
Ooh.
They whipped them, and they had to come back from double digits down.
If you look, since that game, you remember me telling you about North Carolina being, really awesome, whatever. Since they lost to Pitt, going all the way through the NCAA tournament, et cetera, just in the NCAA tournament, North Carolina has been the most efficient team in the tournament. That's offense and defense. And, the year-long numbers on this would have Duke favored by 3. You look over the last 6 weeks, North Carolina would be favored by 2. Yes, I understand all the hoopla around K and whatnot. This number just feels really inflated to me. Like I'm going to ride
Well,
with North Carolina.
What was the number one more time?
The number's 4. Duke is favored by 4.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of where I thought it should be. That's where I thought it would be. I don't say it should be.
But I think it's inflated. Like there's 80-something% of the bets coming in on Duke right now. Like I'm gonna take North Carolina plus the 4. Like,
yeah, no, I am too. Some of this is out. This is what I want to happen badly, but also I'm with you, man. I think this North Carolina team is really, really good. They play. My problem with Duke is, and I know it's an easy pop shot and it's an easy cheap shot because I don't like them, and a lot of people don't like them. It's they play selfish basketball, and I don't think it's fun to watch. Like watching ISO basketball is incredibly frustrating.
Well, I mean,
You're
it's
talking
NBA.
about but it's not. Hang on, now there are some teams in the NBA. Those old school Spurs teams that we grew up watching. I know a lot of people hated them, but Jesus, man, they had like 13, 14 passes before they make a move to the basket.
Oh, yeah.
Like the ball never hit the ground. They didn't dribble at all. Like they're running plays, they're setting people up, they're moving you one way to get somebody else to move another, so they can move a third piece right where they want it and get an easy basket.
How about this? It's most of modern NBA. I'll say that.
You're probably right, but God, it's so frustrating. Man, even in the NBA, they run a basic pick and roll. Like all Duke is going to do on offense is ISO. That's it. That's the list, and they're really good. They got NBA guys, and they're going to score. North Carolina plays this team together. I'd rather see that go forward. Take the jerseys off of them. Take the uniforms off of them. I like this school better than that school. I like the way North Carolina plays basketball. I find it more visually appealing and enjoyable to watch. I want the Tar Heels to win. I like getting 4 points because I am with you. I thought this number was going to be around 4 or 5. And I thought, it should be close to a pick 'em. I do think these teams are pretty even. And I'm assuming the 80% is not just the K hoopla, but it's also we like the team that lost the first match in the rematch. And I'm going to bet the numbers show that the team that lost in the rematch, usually do well in the rematch. Or in the first match, usually do well in the rematch.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
But I'm gonna stick with Hibbert and the boys, and if he can end Coach K's career in Cameron with a loss, and then end Coach K's career forever in a Final Four game, those could be the 2 biggest in the history of these 2 teams playing basketball against one another. Those could be the 2 biggest losses or the 2 biggest wins in North Carolina school history, and Roy Hibbert in his first year could have them.
That's it. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Hubert
Davis.
That's an
Hubert. That's an incredible idea that in his first year he could have the 2 biggest wins in North Carolina history.
I tend to agree with you. I will tell you this. I do like the over in this game. My points per possession formula has this at 151.64, so going about half a point over the total. And my average points per game formula that I use puts it at 154.9, so that's 3 points over this total.
Well, and this game has, because we think it's going to be tight, there's a world where you get an extra quarter. And if you get the extra quarter, you're definitely going over. And I like when I think it's a coin flip. If I have to pick a total, which I'm not picking a total on anything, but if I had to pick a total and I think the game is a coin flip, I think the number is right there. I'll take the over. Hey, it's more fun to root for points than not root for points. But also, if I think the game's going to be really close, if you get OT, you've blown the number out the water. Like you should be easy money there.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're wrong. All right, I've only got you for a couple more minutes, right quick. So let me.
Oh yeah, I got to roll. Got to go pay the tax man.
Let me do this one thing here. So I want to bring up the Grizzlies winning the Southwest Division for the first time. Everybody knows that we're Memphis fans, or we're Memphis boys, but we've been Grizzlies fans for a long time. We cheered for this team when they had Jake Sakalidis in the starting lineup.
I was going to Grizz games. I got spoiled at a very, very, very early time when the Warriors were the worst team in the league.
Yes.
And they were Tuesday night games, and I could get 3 tickets, and it was me, and I'm not exaggerating when I say less than 200 people in that stadium. And that's people working and playing and everybody.
Most certainly. Most certainly. So it's nice to see that going.
Love those days.
They wrapped up the number 2 seed, so that is certainly a positive. The U.S. men's team made the World Cup. Now, obviously, it was with a loss, but they had to lose like 7-0 or something in order to not make it.
No, they couldn't lose by 5. If they lost 5-0, they would have some type of playoff. So 6-0 would put them out completely.
That's right. So they only lost 2-0 to Panama, I believe it was, and so they make the World Cup. They are in, and we don't have to worry about it. So they will be in Qatar in November, I think. So we'll have college football going on at the same time.
That hellscape.
It's just ridiculous.
International soccer's got to fix this. You can't be a third. Listen, I'm not saying it has to be in America all the time. I'm not saying you got to put the damn thing in Paris, France, okay? But you can't be a third world country, all right?
I agree.
Ruled by a dictator and half your people be enslaved. Like, we got to have some kind of semblance of like, it's not even a moral superiority thing. We just can't live like this. We can't send multi-billionaires to these places to live and to play.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. 100%.
That's a different rant for a different day.
On Monday, we will talk about Major League Baseball and whatnot. We do have opening day next Thursday, so Chris, we're going to hit on that. Next week, I do want to hit on Fred Taylor and what went on with his conversation with Bussin' with the Boys, and we'll talk about Conference USA finally coming to an agreement with Marshall, Southern Miss, ODU, etc. They are going to be in the Sun Belt this season. Very strange, but the schedule has been released. We'll talk about that. I'm sure
something will happen over the weekend that we'll want to talk about as well. Somebody will slap the shit out of somebody, and we'll have to weigh. We'll get to weigh in on it.
Yeah. No, you certainly got that right. You got that right. All right, let me let you get out of here, and I'll finish this thing up.
Thank you, Gary. See you, buddy.
Be good, bud. All right, so that was Chris. And this is the end of the show. Lots to talk about next week. We had plenty to talk about this week, of course, with all the happenings over the weekend. Again, RIP to Taylor Hawkins. The Foo Fighters canceled all of their dates. So who knows what happens with that band. But yeah, Final Four picks, Eric Church, Bruce Arians. We got a lot going on in the sports world right now, and we appreciate all of you for paying us a little bit of attention for just a little while. We certainly appreciate that. We know football is our time of the year, football season, but there's still stuff going on, and we still like talking sports, and hopefully you enjoy listening. So with that said, again, make sure that you are subscribed. But in the meantime, we hope that you take care of yourself, and we hope that that you take care of your friends, and for the love of God, we hope that all of your tickets cash this weekend, especially with the Final Four. We will talk to you all next week. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris BG.